part 2. We're continuing with graphing these functions with the transformation. So now my parent function is a square root. So what is the shape of a square root parent function?
Snake.
A snake? I call it half a parabola going off to the right. My name for it. That's what I remember. So the origin again is my critical point. And then I would square root 1, and I get 1. And then square root of 2 is about 1.4. And that's probably okay there. There is my parent function. Now we have some transformations. Vertically stretched by 2. Reflected about the y-axis. Horizontally translated to the right, and then vertically shifted up 3. And we're going to write the equation and graph it. All right, so let's write the equation. So let's talk about vertical stretch. Where does that come into play in my equation? So anything that's vertical happens where?
Outside.
Outside. This is a multiplier. Do we have to do any reciprocating? No changing, no opposites. So that's going to go in front of the function. We're multiplying it by 2. Then we have square root. Now reflecting about the y-axis. Where does that happen? Inside. Then it says horizontal, translation to the right too. Where does horizontal happen? Inside, and we have to think opposite. So if it's moving to the right, instead of being a plus 2, minus 2. The last thing, vertically translated up 3. Where does the vertical stuff happen? Outside. So it's plus 3. So there is my function. Now let's go ahead and graph it. So again, I say I like to do my y-axis reflection first. So I go along the y-axis. I'll draw an imaginary dotted line that I'm going to reflect it about. So where is my blue function now going to go? Off to the left. Okay. Then I'm going to horizontally translate it. So I'm going to pick it up and move it to the right, and then up 3. So I'll go to the color black and do those in 2 parts, or all together in 1 part. So we're going to move this critical point to the right 2, and then up 3. So now there is my critical point. Right 2, up 3. And then my shape has not changed. All right. Last thing, now we're going to change the shape of it. We're vertically stretching on what axis? What value are we changing? What's this at?
Y.
The y-axis. So the values that I'm changing is I'm stretching this by 2. So the critical point will stay as it is. And now this next ordered pair, I'll identify it as 1, 4. where is that going to be now? And the y value is going to change by a scale factor of 2. So it's now going to be at
1/8.
1/8. So 1/8. This goes off like that. That's probably good enough, 2 points. So my final answer is the red. 1/4. I remembered the parent function is 1 unit right, 1 unit up from the vertex. In this case, it would have to be left because it's going that direction. Okay. I would say these next few, you're just going to listen and watch. They're going to go pretty fast. So let's just talk about what would happen to the function. So first one, g of x equals 5x squared. The shape is a u. What's the 5 doing in front of the function? What is the 5 doing in front of the function? How is it going to change it? It's going to stretch it vertically by 5. And what axes will it change? What value is going to change? So vertical, stretch. Again, you're not writing these down. By 5. So the y value is going to multiply by 5. So I'll just quickly graph the parent function. Again, you can see the difference. The critical point will stay as it is, the vertex. But now the second point, 1, 1, is going to go where? Which value is going to change? The y. So it's going to stretch up to 1, 5, and negative 1, 5. All right. Second example on this slide, again, we're not having you write it down. What would happen to this parabola now, the blue function's parabola on the left equation over here? Where is it going to move? Down to, it's outside the function. Those are going to be your verticals again. So it's going to move down 2. We just pick up the entire graph. Did the shape of the parabola change from the parent? No. Okay, we'll skip graphing that one. Next example, question C. 2 things are happening. Again, let's not write this one down. What's happening with the 3 in front? In front of the function. Vertical stretch by 3. And what's the -1 inside doing?
Horizontal.
Horizontal, right. Anything inside you have to think opposite. You have to go move it to the opposite or reciprocate it. Okay, so we won't graph that one. We'll just write it down. Vertical stretch by 3. And then this moves it to the right 1.
So delayed.
It is a little delayed. All right. Again, don't write this one down. What is the shape of this graph now? With the square root. Half parabola going off to the right. So let's talk about the negative in front of the function. Reflects it over the x-axis. And what does the -1 outside the function do? Down 1. Okay, so I'm going to just graph this parent function. You're not graphing it. So we'll move on here.
It's at like 10 minutes.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Now we're reflected about the x-axis. So now what will the graph look like when I reflect about the x-axis? It's going to flip which way? Left or down? Down. So there's the first transformation. The other thing it said is move the graph down 1 unit. So now there's my new vertex point. And there's my final graph. We're going to stop there.